What if I told you that the key to true happiness and freedom isn't in winning, but in losing? That everything society tells you about success, wealth, recognition, social status is actually a trap. Today we're diving into the powerful philosophy of Epictetus, the Stoic thinker who dared to challenge everything we believe about achievement and failure. Most of us spend our lives running away from failure, terrified of being labeled a loser. But what if being a loser is exactly what you need to break free? Let's explore why rejecting society's definition of success might be the smartest decision you'll ever make. The concept of being a loser is subjective and depends on one's perspective. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus had valuable insights on what is truly worth living for, which can be found within. Society defines success through external markers, money, fame, status. We're conditioned to believe that without these things, we're failures. But Epictetus argued that these pursuits don't bring real happiness. Instead, they trap us in an endless cycle of desire and dependence. If your happiness is tied to wealth, what happens when you lose it? If your self-worth depends on approval, what happens when people turn on you? Epictetus viewed societal hallmarks of success, such as wealth and fame, as insignificant compared to the things that are truly worth living for, and believed that the pursuit of achievement and validation can withhold individuals from acquiring a blissful state. History proves Epictetus right. Think of the countless celebrities who seemingly have it all but struggle with depression, addiction, and self-destruction. They chased external success but found no inner peace. Why? Because they ignored what Epictetus calls the only thing within our control: our own minds. The Stoics believed that true success comes not from what you have, but from how you think. Freedom isn't found in wealth or power, it's found in detachment from them. A person who relies on nothing external is invincible, because nothing can be taken from them. So if traditional success is an illusion, does that mean we should embrace failure instead? In a way, yes. And here's why. The word loser is a label society gives to those who don't conform. But what does it actually mean? According to the dictionary, a loser is someone who fails to succeed. But this definition is deeply flawed, because success itself is subjective. The definitions of competence and success are subjective and can change over time, influenced by factors such as social atmosphere, culture, and religion, making the concept of being a loser fluid and vague. In modern culture, success often means financial stability, a high-status career, or social admiration. Those who don't fit this mold are cast aside, whether they're artists struggling for recognition, philosophers who reject materialism, or simply people who choose an unconventional path. But does not following the crowd make you a failure? Or does it make you free? Those who do not conform to these societal expectations are often labeled as losers, deemed incompetent and unable to succeed in life, and are frequently ridiculed for their perceived failures. Epictetus saw this dynamic clearly. He believed that true failure is not living poorly by society's standards, but rather living in chains, enslaved by desires, expectations, and fears. To him, the real losers were not those without wealth, but those who lived in constant fear of losing it. This raises a difficult question. What are we really sacrificing in the pursuit of success? And is it worth the cost? Think about the things people give up to win in life: time, freedom, peace of mind, relationships, health. The chase for external success often demands a heavy price, one that few ever stop to consider. The pursuit of material possessions and wealth is often driven by the promise of happiness, but this happiness is often short-lived and comes with a significant price tag as people eventually return to their baseline happiness. Epictetus saw wealth and status as unreliable and weak. He compared them to a gambler's luck. One day you have them, the next day they're gone. So why bet your happiness on something so unstable? Take the example of an Olympic athlete. They dedicate their entire lives to winning. Endless hours of training, rigid discipline, immense sacrifices. And yet, even if they win, their moment of glory is brief. Once their career is over, many feel lost, struggling to find meaning beyond the title they once held. The same applies to corporate climbers, social media influencers, and even scholars. Their identities become tied to external success, making them fragile and dependent. People often pursue things because others want them, and fear being seen as a loser if they do not conform to societal norms. But Epictetus believed that true happiness and freedom come from prioritizing inner qualities and being willing to reject external expectations. Epictetus taught that only what is within your control is worth valuing. Things like contentment, discipline, inner peace, and the ability to let go. So, if we reject society's definition of success, where does that leave us? Here's a radical thought. Being a loser isn't inherently bad, it's just a label. And labels only have power if you let them. People are often frightened by being perceived as less than others because it attacks their ego and the stories they tell themselves. But according to Epictetus, lacking certain external circumstances does not make someone less of a person. Epictetus's logic suggests that being rich or famous does not make someone better than someone who is poor and unknown, as these external circumstances do not define a person's inner well-being, which is truly important from a Stoic point of view. The fear of being seen as a failure controls more lives than failure itself. People sacrifice happiness, authenticity, and freedom just to avoid the judgment of others. But Epictetus reminds us that external opinions are meaningless. A person who is truly free does not care how they are perceived, because their self-worth comes from within. Imagine living without fear of being judged. Imagine not needing validation from others. That's what it means to be free. That's what Epictetus meant when he said that true wisdom comes from prioritizing the internal over the external. But even freedom comes at a price. The question is, are you willing to pay it? Every path in life has a cost. You either pay the price of conforming or the price of thinking for yourself. The question is, which cost is greater? The philosophy of Epictetus emphasizes that no matter what direction one chooses, a price must be paid, and the question is what price one is willing to pay. With the option of being a philosopher or being one of the vulgar, each coming with its own cost. Being vulgar, the option most people choose, comes with the cost of one's inner well-being, as one pays the price to attain what's considered desirable, such as wealth and praise, by exchanging freedom, health, and inner peace to participate in the rat race. Most people choose conformity because it's easier. They trade their inner peace for external approval, spending their lives chasing what others tell them is important. But Epictetus warned that this path leads to suffering, not fulfillment. The alternative: reject the game. Accept the label of a loser if it means living by your own values. This doesn't mean being passive or unambitious. It means choosing your ambitions wisely. It means valuing freedom over fame, peace over pressure, and wisdom over wealth. Epictetus's philosophy emphasizes the importance of having the wisdom to decide what's truly beneficial and the strength to stick with that consistently, with a disregard for things like praise, riches, power, and social standing, and instead prioritizing freedom and inner peace. The truth is, the world has always been shaped by people who refuse to fit in. Think of Socrates, who was executed for questioning society's values, or Van Gogh, who was seen as a failure in his lifetime but changed art forever. The greatest minds in history were, by society's definition, losers. And yet, they won in ways that truly mattered. Ultimately, the goal is to be free, and the only way to achieve this is by having a contempt for things not in one's control, as stated by Epictetus, who encourages individuals to prioritize their inner well-being and happiness above all else. So, what's the takeaway? Simple. Stop chasing illusions. Stop fearing failure. Stop letting others define your worth. The only way to win is to stop playing a game designed to keep you trapped. True success isn't measured in wealth or recognition, it's measured in freedom. The freedom to think for yourself, the freedom to live on your own terms, the freedom to be at peace. So the next time someone calls you a loser, smile. Because if you're following Epictetus's wisdom, that might just mean you're doing something right. If this philosophy resonates with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Let's challenge the way we see success together.